How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well today. For today's video, we're going to be doing some fan art of the 1975 variation of MechaGodzilla. Not really sure how much yapping I'm going to be doing in today's video. Using Clip Studio Paint as the software to draw here. There's a lot of really good tutorials and stuff already on YouTube, and I'm not really sure how much I can offer in that department. I think what I will do is probably talk about the process that I use, maybe just highlight the steps that I'm taking, but if you're looking for a good tutorial, this probably isn't that. Usually go through several iterations before I'm happy with kind of the final pose and stuff. One good thing about digital drawing is you can mess it up as many times as you want. It's a lot easier to just kind of start over and hit the pose where you want it. But as you can see in the background here, I usually just start off with a light blue color for the basic pose that I'm after. Then I will switch to sort of a dark red. This comes from traditional drawing of having dedicated pencils for pose work and then starting your actual sketch. But yeah, so now I'm refining the pose that we started with, and still not really doing anything dramatic, just kind of sketching out with the I think that's not correct because we kind of skipped a step here. Disregard this part of the video. Not really much of a talker, so doing this part of the video is a little strange for me, but also didn't want to use AI voiceover, so here we are. Guess I could try writing a script. Should probably try writing a script. You could use the circle tool and put some actual circles in for the rivets here, but where's the fun in that? For the sort of sketching phase, I'm just using the pencil tool. I sometimes use the charcoal tool as well. Charcoal one's more so for the first draft, and then maybe move on to the pencil. For the final line work, I use the real G-Pen tool. I don't use any special brushes or anything like that. I just use what's standard in Clip Studio Paint. Another good thing about digital drawing is when your arm or your proportions are not correct, it's much simpler to move around. You can mess it up as much as you want, not be punished quite so severely. We may end up doing some traditional drawing on the channel at some point. Not really sure when or what that will look like, but I still like to get a pen or pencil in hand and go to town on some real paper every now and then. I do think in the future, I may use this part of the channel where I'm doing fan art to maybe look through some comments and answer any questions. Or just say hi to everybody that does interact with the channel. I really like the original design of MechaGodzilla, but, being limited by 1970s Japan budget and an actor in a giant rubber suit, it's never quite as menacing as I thought he should be, so gave him a little more aggressive pose here. Maybe unrelated. When are we going to get a solid 2D animation of Godzilla? I didn't mind Singular Point, but it's a little disappointing. The end credits where they actually showed MechaGodzilla was perfect. The whole show could have been that and we would have been good, but unfortunately no such luck. We'll also say this isn't anything where I sat down and put my mind to creating a masterpiece. I just like to doodle around and get some fan art done. I think in total, this one took me like 8.5 hours or so to complete. Again, for the main line work, I'm just using the Real G pen. No special brushes or anything, just what's standard in Clip Studio. I thought about putting actual text there and moving it around, but ended up just drawing in something myself. And rivets, and more rivets. So many rivets. At this point, I'm kind of going back and just adding some line weight. I think a good artist probably does this as they're drawing the first time through. I don't think about these things until I'm done and realize something's missing and then go back and clean it up. But I will say this step always makes the drawing look 10 times better. Definitely recommend. That goes by kind of quick there. I usually do a multiply layer and color burn. No, maybe not multiply. I duplicate the line art layer and then color burn that duplicated layer. The astute among you might have noticed that this video will be what we in the industry call foreshadowing for the next model that will be painted on the channel. And I have to say, I'm trying something new with it, and it is completely kicking my ass. I've spent probably 2 weeks and have nothing to show for it, so we'll see how it comes out once that video's done. That's base colors blocked out. I typically only do like a base color, a highlight layer, and a shadow layer, like per color. And then, as you'll see later, I go in and add some effects once that part's done. But yeah, typically start out with just mid-tone, shadow, and highlight for different layer color. So first step of that process is I just use the Milli pen to get my sort of cell shading done, if you will. I guess you could consider that cell shading. Then I go and grab the airbrush, typically soft, hardness usually around 2, and I'll blend those highlights and shadows together. Sometimes it makes sense to leave a hard edge, but for the most part, it's kind of blending it out, making it merge together a little more seamlessly. On the old Huion Kamvas 13 that I was running, it had the buttons on the side of the tablet. That's what I'd always used. With the new one, it doesn't have those. So I ended up picking up a key dial mini, also from Huion. Definitely should have gotten one of those sooner. It makes life and doing digital artwork and 3D rendering so much easier. So if you're thinking about getting one, I highly recommend. Then we're doing the same process here, just blocking out the highlight and shadow layer with the Milli pen, and then come back in with the airbrush and make those transitions a little smoother. And now we move on to doing some background work. Using reference from the actual movie here, I basically just copied a shot. Spent probably an hour real time doing the background here, just so that 90% of it can be covered up. But if you watch this, you know it's there. Last few steps here. Now I'm adding a uniform shadow layer to the whole piece, regardless of what color it's on top of. I usually drop the opacity fairly low for this step. Yeah, once it's on there, probably like 25% at the most. Then on top of that, do a highlight layer, usually with white. This will even go on top of the line art. Makes everything pop out a little more. And to finalize everything, a little hard to see here, but I'll typically add a filter over the entire drawing picked from one of the background colors. So in this case, blue, and then drop the opacity down to 5 or 10%. And there we have some finished artwork. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate you very much. Thank you for watching the whole video. If you're interested, this will be up on my Redbubble page. You can find me at MorrowMakers. There'll be stickers and shirts, notebooks, whatever you're interested in, along with my other artwork. So appreciate anyone that helps support me, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.